For this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do curved lines in an improv quilt block. So the first thing we're going to do is have two pieces of fabric. We're going to lay them right sides facing up. This is a solid print, so there's no right sides, as well as this one is a homespun, but you'll just want to make sure that your right sides are facing up. Next thing you're going to do is take your rotary cutter and just cut a small curve on your fabric here, going through both layers. So you can start it and then kind of hold it down with your fingers as you move. So now I have this piece I can remove. Let me cut this off really quick. So now I have my top are one side and my other side, and they are cut similar in shape because they were overlapped. So now what you will do is flip this. You can either make a point or, press a point for the center. So you make sure that when you put this together, your centers line up or your marks line up. I just need to make sure because I don't have them the same length. So this is the center and it needs to go right here. So when I flip it over, I just need to make sure that it lands in the right spot. And we are going to pin this center down. So I'm going to pin it right down in the center, or you can use a clip, but a pin works all right as well. And now what I'm going to do is move this to my sewing machine, and I am going to start sewing and just kind of pin this edge to my one end. So we are going to ease these this seam together as we sew it, but I'm going to pin it in place just to keep it secure while I move it over to the sewing machine. Okay, before starting, I'm just going to make sure that my ends are lined up correctly, and I'm going to put that under the needle and get it a couple stitches started. Okay, I'm going to remove my pin. So now that I have a couple stitches started, I'm going to remove my pin, and then I'm going to kind of line up my sides and take a couple stitches, and then I'm going to line up my sides again. So making sure that I kind of pull that fabric underneath into place. You're not necessarily going stitching straight on these, so you just really need to make sure that it's lined up. If you need to use a stiletto to keep those in place, that works as well. You're just kind of easing this fabric into lining up. So I've come to my center here, and then I'm going to just repeat the process. I'm going to remove my pin, then I'm going to repeat the process, going the rest of the way back. Try not to pull on the fabric if you can help it, because it is a little bit on the bias because you're cutting a curve. Going a little slow is very helpful, and then making a lot of adjustments along the way. When we're at the end of the curve, we're going to just clip our threads. Right, now that I have this pressed, and you can see that it lays really nicely. It goes just where it should. There isn't any puckers. If you run into puckers, really take a dart there. It's not a big deal. But at this point, what I can decide to do is if I'm going to add another curve, maybe going on a different direction, I can trim off this other side here if I want, or maybe I can come from this way. So I'm going to grab another color from my pile. Maybe something like this will work. So what we are going to do again is lay right sides facing up, This one is a homespun again, but I'm going to do right sides facing up. And I'm going to cut a slight curve using my rotary on this edge. Now again, it's going to shift just a little bit, so make the adjustments that you need. Okay, and then I'm going to cut my other piece like straight down because I don't need all of that excess. So I'm going to remove this. I can use this for another improv block later. And what I'm going to do now is, once again, I'm going to flip this and pin that center. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch this one down using that ease once again. Okay. I've taken a couple stitches and I'm ready to go. I'm just going to make my adjustments, make sure my edges are lined up, pull that underneath fabric over, take a couple stitches, make another adjustment if I need. And as you can see, you might have to give it just a little bit of pull to stretch it out to make it work. I'm at to the center, so I'm going to remove my pin. And then I'm going to take a couple more stitches and then start aligning this next side, the rest of the line down. Couple stitches and then making adjustments all the way along. All right, I'm going to snip my thread and then I'm going to open this. Okay, now that I have my thread cut, I can open this up and press this back out, and that looks great.